Welcome to the Big Boss Gems podcast. I'm your host, Adriana Susso, and on this podcast, we talk about entrepreneurship gems, things that we learn along the way so that our listeners can learn something from us to you. We have a very special guest. His name is Mr. Lance G Newman II. Mr. Lance is the founder and director of Mr. Spread Love. He is the executive director of Young Poets of Louisville and the recipient of the 2022 Bill Fischer Award for Visual Arts. Welcome. So glad to have you here.
No, so good here. I appreciate that intro. That was cool.
Mr. Lance is phenomenal. Okay. So he is, for one, he is an amazing poet. He is an excellent host. We recently just had Juneteenth and he was the host at Lipstick Wars. I want to say amazing, phenomenal job. It was great.
So you came?
I did come. I did come.
And you saw the hosting. It was like on par with like women empowerment. Yes. Funny. Yes.
It was so good. I was there for all of it. Okay. I was in, I believe, the third row back. It was all of that and more. Okay.
That was a beautiful venue. Shout out to Rihanna Thornton of Lipstick Wars Poetry.
Yes. And for those our listeners, it was in Louisville, Kentucky. And it was, oh God, it was just amazing. It was amazing. A wonderful 4-day event by Aaron Jordan's company, Black Complex, along with sponsors and other companies that joined in. It was just an amazing experience. But we're going to dive right on in and talk about Mr. Lance. So what inspired you to get into poetry?
When I was younger in middle school, I was getting bullied because I spoke properly and knew words that other people didn't know. And, you know, I was like, I had gotten to a point where I was fed up and I wrote a poem. It rhymed, right? And it was a diss poem. And then I performed that poem on stage, right? And all my classmates were like, hey, you know, they were kind of laughing at my bullies. And I realized that poetry was a vehicle that you could, you could combat the people that were kind of bullying you or the things that were bullying you. And it took off from there. I couldn't really ride a beat, so I didn't want to be a rapper. And then I also couldn't recall any rappers in history, like famous historic rappers. So I was like, I know a lot of historic poets, so maybe I need to go in that lane.
Okay. So So that threw me in for a loop. He was like, because I was getting bullied and I found another way to
love this whole interview is gonna throw you for a loop. Get ready.
Right. Okay, so how important is it to have the Young Poets of Louisville for our community?
The Young Poets of Louisville is a nonprofit organization that was founded by Mackenzie Berry. This organization was geared to create platforms, support, and develop the poetic artistry of 13 to 19-year-olds. She established this company in 2015, and I became the executive director in 2017. And the importance of this nonprofit, I mean, it's paramount, right? Me and Mackenzie used to sit down and I would tell her about the ideas of creating an engine that kind of fed itself, a perpetual poetry engine, if you will, where we funneled young poets through training and worked on their poem and kind of exposed them to the world of poetry. Then they could take that on to college, go into whatever fields they go into. And then if they choose to, they can come back and have a job with Young Poets of Louisville and facilitate the education properties of the nonprofit back, right? Like giving the poets a job once they've seen the world and done their poetry. So that's the purpose of Young Poets of Louisville, kind of being that first introduction to poetry, because my whole career has been trying to be that person that I wish I had growing up.
Mm.
You know, I came to poetry because of a conflict, but it would have been nice to come to poetry because of a assembly where there were poets, or seeing in high school, Miss Lee at PRP, shout out to her. She took me to it was like a poetry showcase thing at the Kentucky Center for Performing Arts when I was in high school, and that really influenced me heavy. So I just think having those exposures and kind of exposing kids at a young age to poetry is the best way to, influence the rest of their careers.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. That was really good. And plus it's your way of giving back.
Straight up.
Like you stated, the representative that was in your life that exposed you to those things, you are now being a representative to them and exposing them to new ventures, and being an influence to them and giving back to them. So that's absolutely amazing. Kudos to you and Mackenzie on that.
Love, love.
Okay. So what motivates you to keep going?
Um, that's right. It's like the wisdom, the wise, Mr. Spread Love guru in me, says that I had always dreamed it. Like I knew from a very young age that I had a purpose, and I didn't really, I kind of grew into that, and in finding that purpose, it's really all the motivation I need. Now I could pinpoint plenty of things that keep motivated, plenty of things that kind of drive me to continue, because there's a lot of, like, in this artistry realm, there's a lot of things that could dishearten you and discourage you from continuing. And in those moments, I, one, remember my purpose, and then two, I've been doing this for a couple of decades now, so there's plenty of times where I'll be in the store or something, and a kid will come up, and they're now a young adult. They're like, "Man, do you remember when you came to my elementary school and we did the workshop? And man, I'm writing music now, or I'm writing poetry now." And it's like, in those moments, to keep from tearing up, but I'm just I kind of settle in that confirmation, because that's all it is that when you're walking in your purpose, there will be small confirmations that you're on the right path. And that's like the main motivator, I believe.
Yeah, look, you're speaking of schools. There was one time, and I'm not sure if you remember, and I'm not sure if it was after I graduated, because Miss Madeline Mirables is
Yeah.
yeah, she's like my second mom. But
Right. Okay.
she was also my mentor. I went to Atherton.
Yeah.
And I was in all of the after school programs that she ran: Phenomenal Women, Girls Power, all of those things.
Yeah.
And I remember you from that. I don't know
Stop
necessarily if it
it.
was, I don't know
What?
necessarily if it happened after I graduated, because I still came and saw her after, I graduated, of course, and helped her with things, or if it was during the time. It was probably after I graduated, but I remember you were talking to the girls. I came in and I was, waiting for her to get done, but you were talking with the girls. I was like, "Hey, I know you." And you was like, "All right." And and then you carried on. But it's crazy how impactful that you are, and which is one of the reasons why I am going to give you your roses now. You are so impactful to the community, you don't even know it. Like for instance, before this podcast, like I done seen you a couple of times, and I watch you and I follow you and I follow your story, and it's inspiring and it's amazing. And I want to say thank you so much for being such a big impact to the community. And you didn't even know that I saw you at Atherton, first
Yeah.
round, that was years ago. And then to
Yeah.
see you again, in your progression in your career, seeing you at Lipstick Wars and seeing
Yeah.
how many lives that you impact online, and seeing that you're now the recipient of the Bill Fischer Award for visual arts. Like you never know like who's watching you. And I just want to say, like, kudos, King, for all that you do. Thank you so much for all that you give to the community. You are definitely needed. And we appreciate you for that.
I thought this was an interview, not to make me cry review.
Look, Christian was like, I'm about to cry. When I interviewed her, like, no, we are all about giving your roses in the most authentic way, on this podcast. Because for individuals such as myself who get the honor and privilege to interview you and to spread, life into your journey on our platform, we're just grateful and we're just honored to be able to have the privilege to do so. So I want to give you your flowers.
I appreciate you, love. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. And look, to keep us from crying, to go back into the interview.
Come on now.
Okay. So, how are you taking care of your mental health in your entrepreneurship journey? How important is that?
Well, so I'm listening. Well, okay, so let's talk about two-tier, because there's
I know it's
like
two
three
questions in
levels. No, two questions in one, right? But also like levels to the journey. And when you're first starting out, when I was first like starting out, I had a hotel job, second shift. I had a third shift hotel job, and then I taught like workshops and stuff at schools during the day. So I wasn't getting much sleep whatsoever. I had a daughter, and I was like grinding, to say the least, right? I didn't have a car. I was on the bus and a bicycle. That bike got me everywhere around the city. And in those times when I knew I was grinding, I knew I was like just kind of feeding my purpose. I was listening to a lot of reggae, honestly, like, and not your like party club reggae, but very like Rastafarian secular reggae that was very encouraging. Reggae is like crazy encouraging, and just kind of finding yourself and who you are. Music really, like, okay, so music in general. So reggae was like my thing, but music in general, like positive music and encouraging music, can really change your perspective and your momentum in a positive direction, right? The what our brains and subconscious eats or is fed materialize itself in your reality. So I would just listen to a lot of positivity, you know what I mean? It'd be a rainy day, I'm on this bike with a poncho on, and I'm listening to Kirk Franklin's Smile. You know what I mean? It's like there are these things that can can alter your mood and change your mood. So I would say doing that. And then when we talk about mental health, because like that's really important. That's crazy important. I've always been a optimistic, cup half full. My perspective on life has always been a gratitude. I believe that there's a gratitude that if you inject into your life, there's really no type of bad day. Because being grateful to experience this reality with everybody else and to affect it in any type of way, or to inflict your will on it in any type of way, like that is a graciousness or a humility that you just can't teach. So I kind of just, I'm always grateful, and that really helps my mental health. Recently here, so that was like at the beginning of my journey, music and just kind of having a positive outlook. Now that I'm kind of deep in my career, and I have all these ideas and all these things that I want to produce, I just need my time to myself. I have 4 kids. I am married.
Congratulations.
Much love, much love. It's all good. Whatever, congratulations, whatever. Like that is, it's work. You know what I mean? It is a whole nother section of your life, especially if you want to be good at it or like produce some healthy mentally healthy children. You have to kind of be attentive to certain things. So um, it was very necessary, but it also kind of puts a strain. On one end, I have my career and my art and my creations, and then on the other end, I have my flesh and blood creations and my flesh and blood art, my relationships, things that are where the art comes from. You know what I mean? Things that I have to maintain and kind of feed to make sure that I can produce some type of art out of it. So every now and then I need a break. I need to take a couple of days to myself. I need to just recently here, because I've been working we just had Southern Fried. Southern Fried is the Southeastern Regional poetry competition that's been going on for 30 years, right? So Southern Fried, I hosted in 2017, and then we hosted again this year in 2022. And, that was that took up a large chunk of my like last year. But now that we're done with that, I needed a break. So recently here, I like found myself in the woods in a little cabin and just kind of sat and wrote and was kind of to myself and didn't answer any emails and didn't answer my phone and just kind of found some peace. And it wasn't quite enough. It was only like a day, but I'm definitely planning on making that time. And that's important about entrepreneurship. That's important about artwork. That's important about work in general. Your breaks are necessary. There are times that we get caught up in I need to be doing something. I need to be making and creating. I need to be producing. And like, you need to listen to your body. You need to listen to your heart. And, you can take a break. You can catch up. I do my best thinking when I have nothing to do. So I have to make time to have nothing to do.
I think that is one of the biggest lessons that we're learning this year. I call it like the season of rest. And the reason why I say that is because, like you said, we're so busy or so focused on go, 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 FOMO, fear of missing out, that we fail to realize that in order to succeed, we have to nurture our bodies and give it rest and give it time. Because as you've stated, like you're married and you have 4 children. I'm married, a military wife at that, and my husband's now like, okay, I'm ready to have children. And so now, like as an entrepreneur, I have to figure out that work-life balance. Like, and that has been definitely a challenge for me in this season. It was one of those moments where it was like, okay, you want a baby, I want a baby, that's great. But I just spoke with Louisville Forward and Miss Elholm about getting this production building, and it's kind of like, okay, where's the balance? You got to make a balance, right? So it's definitely been a challenge for me in this season, as well as, trying to delegate certain tasks to my team so that I'm not doing every single little thing like how I was in my first year of entrepreneurship.
Come on. Delegation. And that delegation is, professional and personal. You know what I mean? Like delegation. And I'm a word to the wise of being in a relationship with an entrepreneur, like as an entrepreneur, being in a relationship with somebody else, and then talking. If you ain't even got kids yet, so like, tell
I'm
homie to
listening.
relax. Tell homie to relax. All right, don't jump into this pool if you can't swim, and be prepared to really be swimming, because it's constantly treading water, constantly. First of all, second of all, your job is as important as his is, and that's another thing that relationships get tainted on, because one person thinks that their job or profession, because it's bringing in whatever amount of money, is more important than the other. But it don't work like that, baby. It's not a the potential of a career and the potential of like somebody being happy in what they're doing kind of holds priority over just getting a job to make a check. You know what I mean? So
I agree.
open
I agree.
communication.
I agree. So you
Mm-hmm.
spoke about we recently just spoke about Juneteenth
Mm-hmm.
and the lipstick wars. How
Mm-hmm.
impactful was that experience for you?
Um, ooh, and see, I don't want to lessen it at all,
Mm-hmm.
because I have a lot of impactful experiences, right? Like hosting shows or major shows and hosting major poetry slams, hosting anything. I've had my fair share of large audiences and kind of really beautiful artwork
Mm-hmm.
being performed and showcased. Um, so I would say it's impactful in that one, I think this is the first time I've ever hosted the Lipstick Wars Poetry Slam. And
Mm-hmm.
I had always like, nudged Rihanna like, hey, you know, to let your boy get a chance at that, man. I think I might do a good job, man. So she
Which you did.
finally, oh, you tell her that. You make sure she hire a brother again. But what you call it? Yeah. So I would say impactful in that way. Impactful. Okay, let's do this. It's impactful in a way that y'all don't even know about because it's like all in front of the scenes, but behind the scenes, I had one poet low key check me, like came into my DMs, said that I
Mm.
like got her name wrong, and that next time as a host, I should like make sure that I'm saying everybody's full name. Now,
Oh,
my
okay.
ego could have been like, who you think you talking to? You know how long I've been hosting and blah 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 blah. I said your name because it wasn't, I could have did that. I could have been that person, but instead, I chose my higher self and I like took the criticism and I apologized for getting her name wrong. I mean, it's a huge stage and the impact that that poet had or the show had on that poet is important. And I think that the
Mm-hmm.
impact that other people have needs to be held over the personal or just kind of individual impact. Like it don't matter how I feel about this show. I need to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that other people feel very good about the show. And if I miss one person and that one person like has the gonads to come up and say something to me about it, I need to be listening. I need to be open and I need to be flexible, be able to like take that and become a better host in general.
But you know what though? And I'm glad that you spoke on that so transparently because that also shows personality traits of a great leader if you really look into it because
Mm.
and of course when you have people under you come up to you and they're like, hey, I didn't agree with this or I didn't agree with that, can we change something? We're so sensitive to our creation, right? Or we're so sensitive to the project in which we're working on to where we're like, you better not say something, you better not say something to attack my ego in that way, when in all honesty, that's something that we have to uh, fix ourselves. Because it may be a person that may have, a new perspective or a new idea, or like you said, we said their name wrong. We are in control of how we respond to that information that is given to us. And when you state like, I could have went this way, but instead I went to my higher self and handled it in a more professional manner, that just shows great leadership skills. So that's how I look at it. So
Well, I appreciate it, and they don't teach leadership skills in our high schools. You know what I mean?
mhm.
It's not a regular thing, and people leadership comes from humility. Spread love is my moniker. That's what my social media, Mr. Spread Love. I came to this moniker, what long ago, 2012,
And I
maybe
was going to ask
2012.
that.
Oh yeah, what was you going to ask?
hmm Yeah.
What?
What
Where,
started
Mr.
Mr. Spread Love?
Oh yeah, right on, right on. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
so that was how I responded to things and people. I would say love. Like instead of saying thank you, I'd be like much love. Instead of being like, you know, uh, I appreciate it. I'm like, man, that's love. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I always responded to people. And in my kind of journey of awareness, like there's a research period that all entrepreneurs need to go through. And that research period looks like looking at YouTube videos. It looks like reading books and getting different books. It looks like give me 1 second. Hello, Cora. Daddy's doing an interview. Hi. Hello.
Oh.
Go ahead. Appreciate it. That looks like so that looks like there's a research period, and you have to study and like look stuff up and learn new skills. And I think that that was a whole journey. Mr. Spread Love. So yeah, I said, I was like, all right, I'm love, spreading love. Love is my religion, right? So like when, we all have these like where we combat our faith, or, we're all kind of raised in these like church settings or these kind of faith-based religions. And I've realized that like the main source of all creation is love and destruction, really. Like, people destroy the things they love, or people love one thing so much that they're willing to destroy another thing. Like, it is love that is at the basis of every emotion, every religion, every philosophy. It's like, just spread love, man. It's very simple. It's very simple, right? So I founded my company in 2013, Spread Love Enterprise. That company teaches creative writing and public speaking in the form of spoken word poetry. That company handles host duties, hiring, poetry, live music, like a one-stop shop for any type of artistry medium you would need. That company also produces Southern Fried and other large-scale poetry events. And then Mr. Spread Love is more of my visual arts, modeling, acting, and those three lanes. That's what kind of Mr. Spread Love, that moniker, that's what that encapsulates.
Okay. I see that you have one of your art pieces in the back. Beautiful piece of art. What does that symbolize?
It's not done yet. This is a portrait of Frederick. Oh, excuse me. This is a portrait of Andrew Williams. So Olmsted Conservatory Park. It's a park system here in Louisville. The guy who it's named after, Frederick Law Olmsted, he designed several parks in Louisville and around the country. One of the most notable parks he helped design was Central Park. And he's having a bicentennial, so it's like his 200-year anniversary, and they're having like a gallery show. And I was asked to, come up with a piece. So the piece you see behind me is that entry for that exhibition. This is Andrew Williams. Andrew Williams owned property in Seneca Village. Seneca Village was located in Central Park and was destroyed to make Central Park. And Frederick Law Olmsted was one of those people that destroyed the village, the all-Black village. So,
wow.
Yeah, man. He's made out of black and brown material. So that's another kind of notable signature about my art. I only use black and mild paraphernalia. So the cigars, I use the boxes and the plastic tips and the cigar paper itself and the inside and the tobacco. I incorporate all of that because it's a vice of mine that I'm trying to remind myself to quit. All the time, trying to constantly be like, hey, you need to stop smoking. So, and it's also, so I don't litter, reusing the litter that is caused by my vice.
All right, recycling. Well, it is a beautiful piece of art, and definitely has a significant background, considering we are from Louisville, and with things I didn't know. That's very, very interesting. So we're gonna go into a little bit of personal, but so how do you deal with self-doubt in your entrepreneurship journey?
I don't allow it to speak when in the room of creating ideas and producing things. Because, okay, so self-doubt, where does self-doubt come from? It comes from the perception that others have of us, right? Or our perceptions of ourselves. So two things have to happen. One, you're either concerned about what other people are going to say or think or support what you're doing, so you doubt yourself, or you don't think you're capable of doing what you thought of doing, and then you doubt yourself. So in the first case of doubting yourself, like, you are capable of anything you think of. Like, if you can think of it, if you can imagine it, it can come to be. Like, there's nothing on this planet that somebody didn't think about and then it materialized. So one, you are always capable of materializing what you can imagine. All right. Your limitation is literally your imagination. And then two, being concerned about what society and what other people say in those moments, because those happen for artists all the time. And, you know, it's the reason why I'm not painting like this graphic, material that I couldn't show in a gallery. It's like, there are, we definitely project who we want society to see us as, and you always have to consider that, but you never have to doubt yourself for that. And also, society is vast, and there's literally a boat for anybody to float on. Like, literally, whatever you're interested in or whatever your interest is, there is at least one person in the world that shares that interest. So create for that person. You're creating for yourself, but you just so happen to be creating for that person as well. And I promise, like, you can't go wrong. Like, don't worry about the audience you're not trying to entertain. Worry about the audience you are.
I agree. It was a bar. I was up here. Look, I was warped. That was a bar. So, with that being said, because we're about 5 minutes until our interview is done, but before we end, what is next for you?
What is next? Several things are next. July 30th, I will be in a play called 1 Week from Paradise, I believe. This was written by Chris Black, and it will be featured at the Fringe Festival on July 30th. On August 18th, I will be giving a live interview / panel discussion for the last day of Aunt Eliza. This is a piece that I did for the Kentucky Derby Heritage Museum, or the Kentucky Derby Museum's Black Heritage and Racing contest. It won grand prize. My piece is called The Wheel of Aunt Eliza. It's gotten a lot of fanfare. So we'll be celebrating and seeing her off. There'll be a panel discussion August 18th at the Kentucky Derby Museum. I think it starts at 5:30. September through October, I will be curating a group show called Living Room at the 1512 Gallery in Portland. That'll be up from September to October. And then in December, I will have a solo show. And there's probably more stuff that I'm leaving out. The K-Mac Poetry Slams. Okay, K-Mac. 2 days in July and 2 days in August. I will be facilitating a free poetry writing workshop at K-Mac Museum. You can look on their website or their Facebook page or social media and find those dates. And then the K-Mac Poetry Slam, the monthly slam we've been doing for the past 7 years, that season starts back in September, last Saturday in September.
Oh, wow. Listen, blessings on blessings on blessings. See that that is amazing. You got a full month. Listen, I'm like, okay. Look, I was about to write down like, okay, I'm gonna find some social media. It's a lot of events. Good. So look, I could come and talk about on the podcast and all of those things. The poetry slams be good. So Lipstick Wars was my first ever poetry slam that I like went to. But ever since I went to that one, I know. Ever since I went to that
Okay,
one, I've been hooked. So I'm going to another one tonight with
nice.
Christian.
Okay.
There's supposed to be one at Long Shots.
Yep, that's not a
I believe
poetry slam. That's an open mic. That's called Wine, Words, and Wings
okay.
Wednesdays. That's hosted by Deep Sea Rice. That's an awesome show. You're going to enjoy it. It's awesome, but it's more of an open mic.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So now look, it was inspired by you, regardless of you being a host. It does not matter. You were impactful because you made it smooth. It was fun. I
Love.
mean, it was just great. It was a great experience because now, like as a new consumer of poetry in that way, because I used to write poetry when I was a kid, but I stopped. But now, like getting into my adulthood, listening to poetry in that way, like now I'm hooked. Like now, like I'm a
Love.
consumer of it. So I will be going to more events like that. And I will be going to the Southern Fried ones in the future, as well as
Nice.
the other poetry slams that you have. So look, I'm
Okay,
intrigued. I'm
come
I'm
on,
all
mess with
in now.
me. Function with me. I appreciate it. Love.
No problem. So where can everyone find you? What's your social media handles?
Cool. Instagram, Twitter, shoot, Cash App and Venmo. Mr. Spread Love. That's MR Spread Love. And then Facebook, also Mr. Spread Love. Or you all can find me on my website, spreadlove.life.
Okay. Well, look, you heard it here first. Thank you so much for coming on to the Big Boss Gems podcast, and giving all of the gems and all of the knowledge that you had. We greatly appreciate you. Continue to do what you're doing. I will be following as I always do. I'll be watching everybody like, hey, okay, they're doing this, they're doing that. But continue to do what you're doing. You're so impactful and you're so inspiring, and you are
No,
definitely needed in this culture, in this community. So thank you so much for all that you do.
No, thank you for what you're doing and much love. And I want to say real quick, like you are a part of the Renaissance. All right. There's a Renaissance that has been happening in Louisville, and the work that you're doing, the work that many of your peers and everybody else that is in this artist community, the work that we're doing is impactful. It's going to speak volumes in the years to come. So keep it up. Keep it up. I
Oh,
appreciate you.
thanks. Thank you so much. And that is it. Be sure to follow us at the Big Boss Gems podcast. If you subscribe to us and you're a member on Patreon, this will be released tonight. So you get early exclusive access. If you're not a part of the gang, then too bad. You'll be seeing this on Friday. But thank you so much. And thank you so much, Lance. Y'all have a great day and continue to be successful.
Love. Much love.